All right, but let's look at the two games coming up. You got Belgium, who is actually, well, we'll start with Germany. All right, so that's going to be at RFK, and Germany is bringing basically a B/C squad, where most of the players on the team, outside of maybe a handful, are, in single digits as far as caps. So, okay, we should be fairly competitive there, but, there's no guarantee. And then you move to the Belgium game, and Belgium's bringing their full guys. I mean, they're not screwing around at all. This is their all-out squad for the most part, with a few exceptions. This is going to be a tough game for us because this is a new generation of players from Belgium who are some of the top players in the world. That one looks like it's going to be a rough ride for me. That's how I see it. And then we move on to Panama in Seattle, and that's just a game we should win, period. That's how I feel about the three games coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. The two friendlies are going to be tough regardless. I mean, as you said, the Germany's bringing a B/C squad.
They're still damn good.
Very tough game.
Yes,
yeah.
Still very good.
They're very deep. Obviously, it's frickin' Germany.
Yes. So even C squad is going to be a pain in the ass, but I'm thinking we could at least be competitive there. I think Belgium's A squad is better than Germany's C squad. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, when we played Belgium last time under Klinsmann, how much of an A squad was that? 'Cause I seem to recall that was pretty much an A squad.
Yeah, it was a pretty good team.
And mind you, I'm not saying we were competitive. We spent most of the game on the defense without creating many opportunities. Although that's been the MO under Klinsmann for the most part.
Yeah.
Very defensive, not creating many opportunities, which is kind of ironic. But we're not going to get into that either.
We've gotten to that already. I mean, you're right.
Touched,
yeah, we just can't.
But I'm hoping would still be even competitive in creating chances against Belgium. But I guess the big question here is you have your two friendlies, and then you have your qualifier, and then you have two more qualifiers like a week and a half later.
Yeah.
How do you play your team? I mean, I don't want to see a resemblance of the last time we had a 5-game tournament. And by game 3, our players were just spent. I don't want to see that.
Oh, God, you're so right. So
I don't want to see that. So what I would like to see, I would like to see a mix. I would like to see maybe like almost like for the first half, like the A-team start, more or less the A-team, maybe not necessarily the entire A-team, but more or less the A-team start, and then you bring in, a line change. Give a lot of your starters a break. Give them a half game to warm up, and then, a half game against Germany to warm up, and then you're refreshed, you're ready to play against Panama, which is going to be the game to worry about, because we're playing the number 1 team in the
That's
group.
the game that counts. I mean, listen.
We need these points at home. We don't want worn down, beaten players. We want refreshed, sharp players who had a couple of minutes against top teams, ready to play against not as quality, but still quality team.
I'm not worried about the guys getting tired out playing the games. My main concern is that Jurgen Klinsmann doesn't run them to death during practice. I'm more concerned about that than the actual games tiring them out.
Well, no. Okay, yeah, we're on the same page there then.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned about the players being tired entering the Panama match. Not necessarily being tired from the Panama match, but coming to the game already worn out.
Yes.
Physically and mentally.
And I don't know how many more times that Klinsmann needs to be criticized because his players look dead by halftime before he realizes, hey, less marathon running and, maybe more skills. Focus in practice.
That's something he was criticized a lot when he was at Bayern and with the German team, or more Bayern than the German team, but that he just focused primarily on fitness more than tactical reasons. So.
Yeah, it's a problem. Now, you found an interesting interview tidbit. I guess it was on Goal.com, and you have to read this because it's very interesting. All this criticism of Timothy Chandler, and he still wanted to play for Germany, or that. You and I know that was horse crap. Yeah. And we've supported Timmy's sort of timid embrace of the U.S. national team, but it comes down to actually another sort of. We talked about Donovan's mental fatigue. This is it's a psychological issue that he had to overcome.
Yeah. And there were times where we were critical on Timmy as far as that making the decision because he didn't. I mean, he didn't come out and say a reason. He was just sort of deflecting it.
Yeah.
And now he comes out with a reason. And I wanted to throw out a thanks to a poster on Big Soccer for posting this, because it's the article, and then he wrote a lot of tidbits about the article. I did glance through the article, but his little cliff notes, if you will, was quite nice as far as grasping the concept of the article.
Yeah.
But he had posted that basically the main reason why he was slow to commit to the U.S. was because he doesn't like flying.
He has a fear of flying. Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily fear. Maybe he just doesn't like the process of it. You know, that's a long fucking flight.
No. Trust me.
Yeah.
He doesn't like flying. He's saying basically he has a fear of flying. And you know what? It's a very common fear. I mean, John Madden basically stopped coaching in many ways because he didn't like flying. And there's something about that because, once you get in the air, you're pretty much, one tiny human error? One loose screw? That plane's coming down, right? I mean, theoretically, at least, existentially, that can be really troubling for some people. And so I can totally understand it and relate to it, since my plane over New York City in 1998 almost fell out of the sky. And ever since then, I've had a slight fear of flying, to be honest with you. I do it, and I continue to fly because my job required me to fly. But I completely understand if I had the option to do something else. If we had high-speed rail in this country, believe me, I'd be the #1 ticket buyer.
Yeah,
Number one.
Here's my take on it, is that I would have almost rather of him. I mean, I would have been less critical of him during this whole process if he would have came out and said that from the get-go.
Yeah, he should have. He should have just been honest.
I think everybody would have been less critical.
Yeah.
I mean, there would have still been some people like, "Oh, grow up" or something like that. But I think the problem was that by remaining silent on the subject and saying that he just wasn't ready to make a commitment,
yeah,
he made everybody, for the most part, everybody. I'm not gonna say everybody, but the most part of everybody, made them think that he was holding out.
They questioned his commitment.
It really was, because he would show up for some friendlies, and then there'd be an excuse why he couldn't make it for a qualifier or for a Gold Cup that would link him, cap time to the team.
Right.
So I mean, if he would have just came out flat out and said, hey, I'm not a big fan of flying. I don't like it. I think we would have, we would have accepted it. We would have still said, like, come on, man up, let's do this. We want you on the team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people would have been far less critical of him.
Yeah.
On it.
Yeah, probably true.
But also, in the article, this is going back to other topics we've talked about in previous shows, but apparently he does get along very well with his non-German teammates, and he was roommates with Josie during Honduras.
Ah, yeah, natürlich, yes.
And his goal is to play in the Premiership.
Well, that's good. I like a good goal. It's a good goal.
To be frank about it, though, I wouldn't mind if he just stayed in Germany. I mean, it's argue fighting for one of the top, that will be in the top league in the.
Well, you got two of them in the Champions League final, right? So
by far, it's got to be one of the deeper leagues by any chance.
Mm-hmm. Well, the good news for him, if he wants to play in the EPL, he can just take a ferry from France over to England. He won't have to fly. And before we move on to the last topic of the night, it's so funny. I mentioned falling out of the sky in New York.
Yeah.
And the plane just literally just dropped. We didn't dive down. We hit one of those pockets, right, where the plane just drops to the ground. And this happened and went on for probably
not to the ground, but drops down in elevation quite a bit.
Yes, and that
really
went
quickly, and it scares the living shit out of you.
Yeah, well, this went on for 10 seconds, 15 seconds. I mean,
quite a free fall.
Yes, it was a free fall to the point where hey, New York City below me was looking closer and closer, and
some people pay a lot of money to go on that airplane that you get the anti-gravity feel to it.
Oh yeah, well I could do without it.
Like good money for that, so you got a free trip. There you go. Well, not really free, but free by company expense.
Well, believe me, I would have passed. So the girl next to me is grabbing my hand so hard, I think it felt like she was breaking my fingers, right? And then the loudest person on the plane, screaming the loudest, "Get me off of this plane!" as loud as she could scream it, was like 80 years old. And I'm thinking to myself, honey, I'm 25 years old. I'm the one that needs to be screaming, get me off of this plane. I got a whole life ahead of me. Not that people who are 80 don't have a life ahead of them, but at least they had one. You know what I'm saying? So just one of those moments in life where you're like, are you serious? Are you serious? The person screaming the loudest is probably the oldest person on the plane. I don't know. Maybe she just didn't want to go out that way. But anyhow.
You know what else fell out of the air in New York?
What's that?
Our next topic.
Oh, did it not? That is. Where'd you get? I mean, you must be practicing segues with Taylor Twellman.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Because Taylor's been segueing all the halftime stories lately.